I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep because of the clamoring. All through the night, the people, they're outside my door. They're knocking on the window. They're saying, Nathan, we loved the Emerald Blitz walkthrough. We loved the trailer. We loved the website guide. But what does a full draft from start to finish look like? And I can no longer ignore the clamor. So, last weekend I was joined by 8 of my very best buddies in the whole wide world, and we sat down to record our run from start to finish, draft, gameplay, the whole shebang. We've got it recorded here for you all today. My goal with this video is to help people who are new to Emerald Blitz get a sense of what an actual run looks like from start to finish. I go over in the website tutorial how to actually set up an auction, but I think what an auction actually looks like is still a little bit obscure, so I'm hoping that this video will help to clear that up. So the first thing you're going to notice is in the bottom right there, we've got 72 Pokemon that will be for sale. There's 9 of us bidding in this auction, and we are going to end up with an average of 8 Pokemon, so 9 times 8 gets us to that 72. Now, the reason the auction is so much fun, and the reason why I think pretty much everyone who at least I beta tested it with believes that the auction is the most fun part, is because there's so much strategy involved. As you can see here, Winkle's going for 3,600 right off the bat. 3,600 is a ton, right? If we're drafting an average of 8 Pokemon, and we each have 20,000, then that means the average Pokemon will go for 2,500, right? An eighth of 20,000. That said, not all Pokemon are created equal, right? There are some Pokemon that are monstrously strong, that are able to take on several gym battles almost single-handedly, or at the very least carry a lot of weight in several gym battles, and then are also extremely strong in Elite Four fights against several bosses, including even sometimes the champion, which is most valuable of all. Likewise, there are Pokemon that offer very little utility, right? Pokemon that have niche applications in just a couple of gym battles, but on average don't contribute very much, and so because of that, you end up getting some Pokemon that are worth many, many thousands, upwards of 5,000, with other Pokemon that are worth very little, that can go for as little as maybe 1,000. Because of this dynamic, some really interesting strategies emerge around how many Pokemon you're actually trying to bid for. In the top left here is Emfraz, whose name is usually being overlapped there by the people in Discord speaking, but in this auction he's going to end up attempting to bid for, I think he ends up with 6 Pokemon, maybe he ends up with 7, but because he ends up with so few, the Pokemon that he's winning for very large amounts of money, right? Whereas I think Brandon in this auction ends up with something in the ballpark of 10 or 11, right? Because he is buying more cheaper, low tiers, which gives him a little bit more leeway, a little bit more room for error, right? Because as his Pokemon faint or die, it's less consequential since he has more of them waiting in his PC to replace them with, right? When you're playing with just 6 Pokemon, it is disastrous if you have something die, and especially disastrous if you have 2 die, right? And you start having to play fights with fewer than 6 Pokemon. That's when things really can go off the rails, as we'll see later, way later in this video, when Matt gets to his Elite Four here. Now, we are very much new to the whole recording and content creation process here. We attempted to record our audio for this auction, and it did not turn out so well, so that's why I'm commentating over the top of it here. But I feel like that's probably just as well, because this way I can kind of walk through the various sort of techniques and strategies that each of us are using, or that we've used over time. This is probably in the ballpark of our 40th auction that we've done for this game, so we have a meta, right? There's a meta of, we all know what stuff is worth. You'll notice here when things come up, we don't really putz around with the 100, 200, 300 bids. Pretty much everything jumps right up to around where we know the lowest it usually sells for is, and then it's just depends if anyone's willing to kind of raise at that 100 or 200 and kind of throw their hat down and say that they want this one. Another one of our most common strategies is simply to try to hold your money until the end, to hope that people will be overambitious with their money early, that they will spend quickly, and that they will run out, and that they can kind of secure, the people who've held their money can secure Pokemon for less than they might have gone for otherwise by waiting toward the end of the auction. But regardless of the strategy, probably I should just get to the point here, which is that we're trying to come up with a team that has all its bases covered, right? You want a team that can, for instance, handle both the Elite Four and the late game, but isn't going to get wiped to the early gyms, especially 3 and 4, which are common roadblocks. Similarly, you need the type distribution to cover all of the hardest matchups, right? Water types, especially as we see Staryu come up here, are especially valuable. You pretty much need a water type. It's really tough to play the game without water, and I would even almost toss fire into the current iteration of the game. I think fire types are a pretty big deal when they come up. You saw me get Totodile earlier there for quite a bit. I really wanted the water type off the bat here in this run, because Totodile is quite strong late. It's got that mega evolution. It scales well into the late game, and you just never know what you're going to get, right? That's really the beauty of the auction, is that you have to adapt, right? You have to adapt to the pool you see. The total pool of Pokemon is around 120. But we're only going to see 70, right? And this is a giant auction, right? If you're playing with, say, just 6 people, you're going to see half of the total pool. So you really can't hold out and just hope that you're going to get the Mudkip that you've labbed with, right? Or you're going to get the Rotom that you know you can do, gyms 3 and 4 with. You have to be able to adapt to, well, this is what, with this pool of people I'm playing against, this is the Pokemon that's going for cheap today. So I have to pick this and see if I can make it work. All the while keeping track of making sure that you're diverse type-wise, right? Making sure that hopefully you don't finish the auction and realize that you've got 4 electric types, or realize that half of your team is weak to Flannery and you have no fire resists. Beyond that, you'll notice that from time to time I'm clicking that tier list button in the bottom just to kind of check where things are at in the tier list. That's really what the tier list is based on, right? It's how much is the thing worth, how much generally am I willing to spend on it, right? With the top tiers can often be upwards of 4,000, as I've mentioned, whereas around stuff in B tier, A- is usually what we're looking to spend around the average 2,500 on. And even now, with just, 11 Pokemon sold so far, you can already kind of see a trend emerging. You can see that Christian, Brandon, Nate, Susk, and I have kind of come out bidding, whereas the other 5 are looking to hold their money. They're hoping that maybe we overspend early and that they can end up cleaning up a little bit more later on. I came into this auction kind of assuming that people would bid a bit more conservatively than they have in the past. This is the first run we have ever recorded. This is the first draft we had ever recorded, and I think I was suspecting that people would pay less because they don't want to get embarrassed by spending a lot on something and then having it die, right? It's just simply safer to play with fewer Pokemon. That said, I was definitely wrong. This ends up biting me quite a bit later on. I'm one of the first people to run out of money in this auction, and then tons of top tiers come up, and they go for way less than I would consider them being worth. That said, speak of the devil, because Chinchou is very much a top tier, definitely the best Pokemon we've seen so far, with Water Absorb and Volt Absorb, and the ability to use ability patches and capsules to switch between those abilities. Chinchou is crazy. Chinchou really seems to me like it's so much better in practice than it is on paper. Water Electric is just a crazy type in this game. It ends up coming to so many fights. It ends up countering so many gyms. Chinchou is one of the best Pokemon into the gym phase. Alright, now to go through everything else that's kind of on the screen right now, you'll note that I've sorted the auction by cost in the bottom left there. So Chinchou, that's the most expensive Pokemon to have sold so far. I like to do that just to try to get a sense of what people are paying, try to average out, like, are people overspending? Are we expecting people to have a lot of money by the end of the auction? Or alternatively, are people spending very low? Is it likely that things are underselling right now and a lot of people will have money at the end of the auction, so I should try to get some deals right now? You'll notice in the top left, our friend Christian's internet is it's doing its best, but every once in a while he disconnects. His card turns red when that happens. The bot is pretty resilient, luckily, or the auction website, that is. If you just refresh, you come right back in. Sometimes it breaks the timer for the other people, but when another bid is placed in, it just immediately gets back to work and works just fine. The most recent sales are listed over to the right, so if you step away quickly or if you kind of miss what something sold for, you can look over on this bottom right there and kind of see what is going on. There's also a pause button at the very bottom right, so if someone has to step away for an extended period of time, anyone can pause it quickly to allow that person to do what they need to do. At this point in the auction, I kind of have mixed feelings on how well I'm doing. Totodile I got for a fair price, so I'm not kicking myself for that necessarily, but at the same time, there's been plenty of water types as we've seen here. Chinchou, Horsey, Clamperl all came up, and I think they all went for pretty reasonable prices. But I really wasn't bidding on them because I didn't feel that I needed them. Here you see IDC, right? And I just refresh my page there and get right back into it so you can see what it looks like when somebody DCs. Cubone, on the other hand, I do regret. I mean, it's easy to say that after I played the run, but Cubone is so slow, and it really doesn't excel into the late game or the early game. My internal ranking of Cubone went down quite a bit after this run. It's very much when you're playing a draft, you're just trying to find Pokemon that can fulfill the roles you need to, and in this auction, I'm trying to think of how I can get through my early game and how I can get through the Elite Four, which I see as the two big roadblocks to success, and Cubone doesn't really end up patching either of those holes, and now I'm sitting here, I've spent a quarter of my money, and really I would feel much more comfortable if I was just sitting with Emphraz's draft right now with just Chinchou for 36,000. I think it probably is better than Totodile Cubone combined for quite a bit less. Now, Rotom here's our first true top tier, right? We've got this as second best in the game at the time of recording this, and you'll see it here as, I mean, it rips right to 4,000, and it's only going to continue going up. Rotom, it's strong for a variety of reasons. The Ghost type allows it to have the double immunity, which is nice, and it's one of the only non-evolving Pokemon in the game, which means that it starts very strong. Those base stats are super high for Gyms 1 and 2. But above all, it has the ability to change forms 3 times over the course of the game. Being able to adjust its type for whatever Elite Four matchup you end up getting in a roguelike game, right? A game where you get different bosses every time is just completely invaluable. There is no Pokemon in the game that can match its versatility. And for that reason, even though Matt has an electric type, he is still willing to spend 4,600 even when he's already spent 3,600 on something. You can see here in practice, this is the philosophy of he knows that a lot of S tiers are going to come up, so he's going to spend big on them and then just play with a small team of Pokemon that he knows can kind of take down all of the key hurdles in the game. Right after it here, we've got Shuppet, one of the weakest in the game. In general, there's kind of each type has a range of power. There are top tier ghost types like Rotom, and then there's very weak ghost types like Shuppet. So if you just need the type, if you just need to fill the type, there's usually something you can get for cheap to fill that type. That said, it's a range. Right, and you can see I even go there to highlight Shuppet's position in the tier list. Oh, next up is Cutie. Cutiefly, the Drake Sweeper. The Drake Sweeper. There are a lot of quiver dancing bugs in Emerald Blitz, and they look unassuming. They look innocuous. You look at this bug, you think this bug isn't worth 2,800, but it is. Jason knows. In fact, I'd even consider this pretty cheap for a Cutie. You can see me hesitating on bidding there, but I'm thinking that the strategy is going to be to hold out. Ooh, Greavard is fun. Greavard is a Pokemon with a reworked ability. You can even see with a star there next to his name. You can click that star to read what that does. But as your Pokemon die in Emerald Blitz, it powers up Last Respects. Oh, thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan, for going over and clicking that so that we can all read that together. Yeah, when he evolves, he gets Last Respects, and that move powers up in base power depending on how many dead friends he has. That's actually one of my favorite mechanics I added. I really get a kick out of that. It's been heavily nerfed in earlier versions of the game. It used to just one-shot literally everything, but with Sand Rush, it's just a bit too much. You set Sandstorm, you're super fast, you just one-shot everything. But it was really fun back in the day to just take your entire draft and just sack everything into the 8th gym, and then sack everything into the Elite Four, and then you just had your Houndstone just tearing through the Elite Four for a rapid fire win. So in the downtime here, I don't plan on showing the whole draft. At some point we'll cut this to 3 times speed, and we'll kind of speed through the remainder of this. But before I get there, I should just say that it's been so awesome to have so many people playing the game. It's the Discord server where we've got like over 300 people in here. The reception has just been so awesome. You know, I'm getting DMs from people offering to help add new mechanics to the game, making pull requests, people offering to help make content and stuff. It's just so cool. I'm really excited, and I'm very committed to continuing to make content, continuing to host races. We've got a race on Friday. We'll have another race Sunday. If you're watching this video after the fact, I'm sure we still have races going on in the Discord if you want to come by. But it really is just so exciting, and I'm so excited to continue working on this, and now to have, you know, hundreds of people playing it instead of just, you know, me and my buddies. It's really so exciting for all of us. So thanks to everyone who's watched the video this far, who's interested enough in the game to watch as we bid on Fido. Fido with the well-baked body, incredible into Flannery overheat. Such a Flannery counter. Such a Flannery counter that Matt is willing to bid on this, and you know Matt only bids on the top tier stuff. And I think with that said, as Susk DCs, I think it's time to kick it into overdrive. We'll kick it into speed up mode, and we'll see if anyone's willing to take a risk on Smeargle, who is the true gambler, the true RNG Pokemon. Alright, here we go. Oh, wow, 2,000 for the Smeargle. That is far more than this is worth. Oh, this is more like it. This is more like it. This is the speed we should have been doing this from the beginning. I feel like we needed like a song, like we needed to kick it into overdrive with a song for this, but making videos, it takes so long. It actually takes an eternity. This video I thought I was going to do in a day, but as I sit here recording this is like day 4 of working on this thing, and I'm working on it each day. This part, I guess, is simple, the draft part, but once all 9 gameplay screens pop up, geez, I have a newfound respect. Well, I always respected video editors, but I really didn't realize how tedious this all was. Anyway, you saw me secure a Buizel there. Buizel, not only is he one of the worst Pokemon in the game, but he does me dirty in this run. That's the other trouble with this run, is I don't do very well. This is one of my worst runs of all time, and it really is just an atrocious run here. I get the Vivillon. I love Scatterbug. That Compound Eyes Sleep Powder combination, the really high sleep chance, it's just excellent. You also get Vivillon for the first gym. You start at level 15, so you just instantly have that thing. And Justin robs me of Smoliv. Smoliv is my Pokemon. I've played with Smoliv more times than anything else, but he steals it for me. I can't justify that just outrageous price for it. A lot of good Pokemon here coming up back to back. Corsola was kind of fun there. Corsola is the only Pokemon in the game who revives when it dies. It turns into the Ghost Corsola when it dies. I tried to add those fun mechanics like Greavard, we talked about earlier, Corsola, Pokemon that actually now interact with the Nuzlocke mechanics. That's one of my favorite things to do. Gible, he's a monster. He's a monster. He was 4 on the tier list, but we've moved him up to 3. Dragon Rage early, Mega Garchomp late. He's just good at every stage. He's good at every threshold. And Christian breaks the bank for him there. Geodude is a funny one, since Susk thinks Geodude is better than we all do, so like you can see there, like, I don't know, Lucas is bidding, right? We just bid him up on it because we'll know we'll spend a lot on it. I don't think anyone else really wants to win that thing. But we let him pay what he thinks it's worth. Snorunt, double megas here. Frostla's pretty much the only one we go for at the moment, though. But as I take a look at the cards, I can see that, what does Brandon have up there? Brandon is rocking 8 Pokemon. He's got 8 Pokemon and he still has over 3,000 left. See, yeah, that's a problem. That already means that people are going to be playing with less than 8. Meanwhile, you can also see, like, you know, Jason's up there with 3, right? Jason's got 3, so we've sold 40 so far out of 72. So this is kind of the point where you start kind of keeping an eye down there and tracking how much stuff is left, how many things remain down there. And at this point, if you're Nathan, you've got to be concerned. You've got to be concerned because you're looking at your team and you're thinking, am I strong early game? Kinda. Vivillon is good early, but Vivillon is really carrying the weight, and Vivillon doesn't really do damage. It's more of a support Pokemon, really. And then, am I good late? Not really. I've got Totodile. Totodile is going to have to really do some carrying there. I do love Helioptile, though, and I get that cheap. Helioptile is nice. Dry skin. Healing from the water is huge, especially in the double battles where you just pair that with a Surfer. Maybe I even get Vaporeon with my Eevee and I pair that off, and then I have a really nice kind of late Tate and Liza if I end up with that. It's another instance here of, like, water type. It's really strong back-to-back, really strong water types, but I've got Totodile and now I've got Buizel too, so I'm not bidding on these things. Ponyta, I'm not interested in this at all after I've just won Houndour, so I'll just let them bid on this. As I'm sitting here recording this, I'm I'd love to do this more. Let me know in the comments if this is interesting, if just having commentary on draft, like I could easily see myself kind of recording drafts each week and then just commentating on my thought process, kind of speed them up like this and just upload quick like 6-7 minute videos. Oh no, I've done the meme. I guess the videos will have to be 8 minutes, but 8-minute videos, just speeding up the draft, talking about what I bid on. That could be fun. Egg. Speaking of fun, egg. Look at all these Pokemon you can get out of an egg. Well, those weren't on long. If you're interested in that, go back, rewind the video, pause it up, look at all of the fun baby Pokemon that you can get out of that egg. You can be so happy if you get an Azumarill for Gym 2, huge power, a crazy spike, or you can be so sad if you get, I'm not sure, what's the worst egg? Bonsly's not very good. Igglybuff isn't very good. Chingling, maybe better now that Chimecho's got the Mega, but those guys, you're not looking for those that have your egg. So another way to gamble. Nincada. We've got to talk about Nincada, right? Shedinja. You're thinking Shedinja, he's way too overpowered. But the bosses in the game are pretty well adjusted to this. They're pretty well adjusted to have counters to that, so it really doesn't wall anything super hard. But okay, this is where we've got to talk about. It's a disaster. I buy Salandit, and it leaves me with 1,700. I'm not realizing Brandon has 1,800. This was a disaster. This actually, there's no other way to put it. That was an absolute disaster. I'm left with an awkward amount of money that I may never be able to spend. It is a very good strategy to try to get to a point in the auction where you're finishing with around 4,000, so you can just rip 4,000 into a top tier. But I botch it there. I'm just not thinking when I win that Salandit. I see it's cheap. I bid on it, and then oh my gosh, Honedge goes for nothing. Honedge is worth more than 3k easily. It's a super strong Pokemon. Ghost Steel is bananas. Instead, I have to watch it go for nothing because I'm stuck on 1,700 because I wasn't paying attention. Oh, I can't even watch this. Watching this back is just paying all these Pokemon that are just out of my 1,700 range. This is the worst number you can literally end up with. It's ugh. Even the egg is out of range for me. And we've only got a few Pokemon left, and I'm sitting here trying to calculate, am I actually going to get anything? Do I even have a chance at something? And as you can see there, I try to win the race for Wooper, and I don't even win that. Ugh, this is a disaster. This is the saddest day. But I still got 8 after all, so the run must go on. And oh my, you want to know what's not a disaster? What's not a disaster? Check out this mask. Check out this new vocabulary word I just learned, a mask. I've got this image, I've overlaid it on all of our gameplay, and then we're just going to blip into existence. Look at that, look at all these little people running around getting their boxes and stuff. I gotta be honest with you guys, I actually can't see all those little people as I narrate this, and the reason I can't see them is because my computer explodes if I try to watch 8 different pieces of gameplay all at the same time, so instead of just watching a couple of them here, waiting for everyone to get their stuff ready. But that said, this is one of like the big reasons I wanted to record this video. I feel like this is one of the most fun parts of the run. Just like the right after everyone gets their stuff and we wait outside the door and we count it down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's just breakneck, everyone trying to sprint out of their rooms, sprint to the first gym. That like neck and neck gameplay is really exciting. I don't know why it's so satisfying. If it has something to do with Flygon and hopping the ledges, that feels good. But it also just like looking over in Discord and seeing everyone else's screens and how everyone is neck and neck and you're all like 1 second off of one another. That's a really fun feeling. In this time, I'm just trying to set my team up. I check real quick if I've got the abilities that I need. I have Salazzle for the early game. I did end up papering over my early game, which is big because my early game was not good before, and Salandit Dragon Rage is going to hopefully give me an easy Gym 1 and 2 so I can get out to an early lead here. As we'll see, that doesn't come to fruition, but in the actual run here, then I'm just kind of standing around. Usually we use this time to let people get water, get a drink, stretch their legs, so that, you know, in a second here we're going to be sitting down for the full 2-hour run, and if you kind of have to be locked in for that amount of time, so there's a bit of built-in downtime here between the draft and the actual run to allow people to kind of get a breather. Also kind of make plans, right? Think about like if you want to buy ability capsules or patches. I'm pulling up the boss battles page on the website. I'm pulling up the Blitz index page so that I can check out what items I'm planning on buying and after which gyms. And above all, I'm talking smack. I'm making sure that everyone knows that I plan on winning this run. I'm striking fear into their hearts, me and my Eevee. I'm putting Salanda in front so I can get Dragon Rage ready to go. And oh, we're counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Everyone is out. Wow. And so now we're in real time. I'm going to slow it down just in a few parts of the run. I mean, I guess I should have used that downtime in my room to explain what I'm actually going to do here. I'm not going to play the full 2 hours. It would be a lot of commentary, and I also think that there just isn't so very much to say for the full 2 hours, but I will commentate kind of the key moments of the run, and one I wanted to commentate is just this opening movement, so people know where they're going when they actually boot the game up, since I think this is important. As you can see, once I get the flag on, I am off. We're dodging past the trainers. We're headed right to that Miracle Seed. Ooh, that movement, not bad, Nathan, not bad. I did have that little hiccup, but we're okay with that. Oh, another hiccup. Don't pay too much attention to that. As I head up to the berry store here, I'm gonna pick up somewhere just under 20 Oran berries usually, and I'll toss those on my Pokemon. Well, I would toss them on my Pokemon if I didn't mess up in 2 seconds here, but unfortunately I'm thinking about recording. I'm excited. The first time we've ever recorded a run, I'm looking it over at all my friends and seeing how they're doing, and I just don't put the berries on right there. That was very stupid. That's going to come back to bite me, but I'm right into the gym, and I walk in and I see I've got Juan Wallace. Now, this is a complicated feeling in my soul. On the one hand, this is like the worst gym for Salazzle, obviously. Salazzle staying in here actually gives him a chance to get water pulsed and just die, and that's a disaster, and I really don't want to risk that. I need Salazzle for my early game, and so because of that, I'm not going to lead him. On the other hand, though, this is excellent because Juan and Wallace, they're a double battle, and they give you Water Pulse and Waterfall. Waterfall is huge. Totodile and Buizel, two of the biggest beneficiaries in the game of that early Waterfall HM. It gives them a strong physical water stab right off the bat. This really is the best gym I could have gotten, except I didn't put the berries on. And so you see, because I didn't put the berries on, I had to switch Eevee out, and all of a sudden I realized I've got no berries on anything. This is a disaster. This is going to take me 1,000,000 years. This fight is going to take me 1,000,000 years. It usually is clean and quick. It really is. It doesn't have to be a risk, but it ends up being a risk here because I have to pivot around so much. 10 health on every Pokemon is just enormous. 10 health is enormous when at this point in the game your stuff has less than 40 anyway. I do eventually get through it, as you can see, but look how far back that has set me. Right, me, who I should be in first place, I've got the Dragon Rage Salazzle. That's the thing that put me down to 1700 and cost me the draft in the first place. Because of that, we're just watching it fast forward. We're watching me blow through the early game of Emerald Blitz, pick up all the key items. If you want to see this at a speed that's not ridiculous, go check out the walkthrough, the routing video, and watch me commentate it in much more detail. But as we see, I run up here to Winona 2. This will be clean at least, right? I've got Salazzle. Salazzle's excellent into Winona. And when I get Winona, I'm very relieved. I know that this fight is not going to be bad whatsoever. And you can see here as my Salanda burns through those 2 potions. That's huge. I think I can take on the Tropius, but with that, we've got a scene switch because Jason's Brawly 3 is up. Meanwhile, while I'm putzing around on Winona 2, he has started Winona 3, and this fight is a great example of how easily everything can just go wrong in Emerald Blitz here. So he leads with the Noibat, a pretty innocent start here. The Machop is not very threatening. Neither is the Noibat, but at least it can handle this very much, right? Jason is a strong player. Jason is one of the contenders to win. Jason has won 3 runs prior to this, so I'd say he's one of our top 4 players in the beta test. And so I'll try to alternate between kind of what I see as the key fights of this run as we go through it, but Hariyama comes out. I haven't actually watched this fight, but I know what's going to happen. I know that at some point this Noibat is coming out, and I'm just waiting for the disaster. I'm waiting in suspense of knowing what decision he's going to end up making here. Does he live the strength? No, I was going to say I'm surprised he kept Noibat in, but maybe it was a sack. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there and say that he knew he couldn't have lived it. Now he thinks. What's coming in? Shinotic is spiking for this gym. It evolves at level 24. This is when it's the very strongest. And he takes his time, and I respect this, right? He understands this Hariyama is a huge threat, one of the hardest Pokemon you can face in all of Emerald Blitz. This Gym 3 Hariyama is really rough. And he sends in the Fletchinder. It's a reasonable decision, right? He's sending in the fire type. It's got Growl. He's going to drop its attack, right? This checks out unless the Hariyama uses its physical move and procs Flame Body. Disaster, because Hariyama has guts. He's doubled its attack, and now he's in trouble. Now he's in trouble because Peck is not doing anything against that 140 base HP Hariyama, and now this thing is doing double damage. He is in trouble. Oh man, this is so sad. This is... what? Burn isn't even doing any damage to it. This is... Anyway. One mistake, right? He even thought about what to send in, but he just didn't think of the chance of Flame Body proccing, and I mean, that's just how quickly everything can come crashing down in this game. He's going to switch here, but I mean, just nothing on his team has the actual damage to face this thing, so I really don't see what the out is going to be. It makes sense to go to Shinotic. This is the only thing that can kind of try to match it stat for stat. And he's got Moonlight so he can heal, but of course he can't Sleep Powder the thing because it's burned and he gets crits. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a tilter. He could have just tried to stall the thing out with Moonlight and let Burn ship it. It would have been excruciatingly slow, but at least he has something there. And now Cutie Fly, this is also good into Brawly. This thing evolves in what, 1 level, 2 levels? Draining Kiss is super effective. It's got Stab, but he's just a cutie. He's not at full power. He doesn't have his Scarf yet. And without a Scarf, what are you going to do against a Hariyama? You're probably going to get one shot. Okay, no, not quite. Not quite. This is terrifying. Just a... oh, we proc this thing. I'm surprised he even manages to kill this. Again, I haven't actually watched this back, so... I think Brawly still has potions, right? He has such a good Brawly team. He even has a Spoink in the back. He has like 4 Pokemon that super affects fighting. And still, just the one mistake is going to destroy him here. Brawly 3 is brutal. In Emerald Blitz, if you press L on the move, you can read what it does. He's just checking the base power there, trying to figure out... I mean, he doesn't want to sack, right? He doesn't want to lose another Pokemon, but he comes to the conclusion that he has no switch. I think that's probably the correct decision, but at the same time, you really can't afford to... Once you lose this, it's kind of over. Even if it's not like he's going to wipe in this fight, Cutie Fly, more so than the other two, is a Pokemon that Jason was going to need into his late game. That's a Pokemon that scales very well late, and to lose that at such an early point is rough. Spoink doing a surprising amount of damage. Ooh, in the Confusion. Well, this is actually nice. With the Confusion plus the Burn, you might have this now. Yeah, Psybeam is certainly going to kill here, but at what cost? We've lost 3, and in a game where Jason is drafting 8 to start with, he really can't afford any more mistakes, any more deaths, and he's going into fights with fewer than 6. I should note here, I mean, if you are looking to host your own draft with your own buddies, you can obviously play with more than 8, right? You can draft 9 or 10 and mitigate this a little bit. You can even allow the use of max revives, which are in sandbox mode. You can access those from your portable PC just to make the game a little bit less punishing. He goes for another switch here. I think that's probably a good idea. I think Frogadier probably has it from here. He really had a very good Brawly 3 team, all things considered. He just got very unlucky with that Flame Body. Metatite, the least threatening Pokemon here by quite a bit. It's probably just going to get 2-shot. After we finish up this fight, I think we'll kick it into fast forward quick, and then we'll watch my Tate and Liza 4, which is where I make every mistake in the book. And that's what cost me my run. Similar to Jason, I don't wipe to Tate and Liza 4, but it's oh my gosh. Wait, what just happened? What just happened? Oh my goodness, it was a roll. Water Pulse has low rolled, or perhaps it just high rolled the first time. That's actually so tilting. I can't believe Jason even continues and makes it through several more gyms. He has a stronger mental than I do. He's a stronger mental than I do, because that would make me, oh man. Alright, and we're back with me for my Flannery 3, it looks like, and Celio is just going to make a mockery of this fight. Encore on the sunny day each turn is just going to be dastardly. I'm not planning on really going super in-depth with this. This fight is super trivial, obviously, with Waterfall on Buizel and Totodile and Celio. This is just a matter of time. Even so, gosh, Croconago's kind of low there. But I'm through 4, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty pleased with that because I've got my Floatzel Spike, I've got Houndoom, I've got Celio, and I see Tate and Liza 4, and I am happy with Tate and Liza 4. This is a hard fight, but I have a good team for this, right? I have 2 Waterfall users. I've got Marowak, who just spiked. I've got Floatzel, who just spiked. I've got a Dark type in Houndoom, and I've even thought to buy the Thief TM, which is excellent into this fight. Thief those berries off of the Lunatone and the Soul Rock for super effective damage. Everything is looking up for Nathan as I start this fight, and as they lead off here, oh, we'll come out of fast forward, that's nice. As they lead off, they lead the Baltoy and the Natsu. These things are just punks. They're not threatening at all, and so really the strategy with early Tate and Liza's, like 3, 4, 5, is to make sure that you do not let Soul Rock and Lunatone come out at the same time. That is when Rock Slide flinches start destroying your life. But the problem is I decide to kill the Baltoy. My logic here is I just one-shot either of them, so who really cares? I'll just leave one alive. I really just don't think about it much, because I think that Floatzel Waterfall will outspeed them both and one-shot them both anyway. But this is a mistake, obviously. So Natsu has Ominous Wind, has a chance for an Omni Boost. It also has Cosmic Power, the move that is boosted based on how many boosts you have. The thing is, I've Tail Whipped the thing, and I know I'll outspeed it with Floatzel. This thing is so slow, and it's only, even if it boosted, it will go to neutral defense. So I'm thinking at this moment, Natsu is not a threat. I don't need to worry about it. I'm just going to focus down the left side. And if it boosts, I'll just have to take a turn to go kill the Natsu. That is my logic. I've got the Chesto on Floatzel, not on Marowak. That was silly. I should have just put a Chesto on both, because I know Lunatone's coming out to Hypnosis. I knew I couldn't afford to have Floatzel fall asleep. But Marowak I thought would be alright. I'll just give it the berry, and even though it falls asleep, it's not a big deal. Right, in this moment, freeze frame right here, I mean, this is dominance. This fight is over. I've got 2 Pokemon who are going to double attack down the Soul Rock the next turn, and then this fight is just over. But Natu gets the Omni Boost, and I mean, you already know where this is going, because I've slowed down on this fight in the first place, and I sound so very sad. I just say, well, I'm gonna double into the Natsu, because I know this thing has to come off the field now. So I'll hit it with the Stab Waterfall. I can't watch. Oh my gosh, it just lives on a sliver and then stored power back. Goodbye, Floatzel. Goodbye, Floatzel. And now the thing is, I haven't touched the Soul Rock, and Rock Slide is one of the most dastardly moves in the game, because now Natsu lives. Of course it gets the flinch. It always gets the flinch. And at this point, I mean, it's really bad, because Natsu's going to get another kill if I cannot outspeed the thing. And he can even heal the thing up if he wants to. I'm not sure, watching this back, why I didn't go into Eevee and Quick Attack. I'm not sure if I'm thinking he'll heal. But if he had healed, at the very least he's not killing my thing. That was another mistake there. I should have just tried to Quick Attack the thing. I mean, anyway. I might have also thought Houndoom outspeeds. Honestly, that... I don't know. This is rough. And then Soul Rock, Rock Slide, all into Houndoom. This is crushing. It really, when I see Totodile go down, that's just a complete disaster, because that Pokemon is my late game. That is my Mega Evolution for late. That's the Pokemon that I'm going to need to actually push through those late Elite Four members. So even at this point, I know it's pretty rough. I have Celio for the Water type at least, but I also have no way to actually get through this Soul Rock. Right, I can Charm it with Eevee to cut this Rock Slide damage down, but what I really need is Baby Doll Eyes for the priority lowering of its attack stat. But I've forgotten Baby Doll Eyes like a fool. I flinch again. Of course I flinch again. And I'm sitting here complaining about my luck, but really, this is entirely my fault, right? There's no reason to leave that Natsu alive. There was no reason to risk Waterfall not killing in the first place. I could have just... The Baltoy is never doing anything over there. The Baltoy I'm always one-shotting with Waterfall. There was really no reason to do it. I just was overconfident going into this fight. I knew I had a strong team into it, and I am paying the price for it. And ultimately, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing, because it means that the difficulty, which we've spent so much time trying to adjust to be, you know, like hard enough that you need to stay focused the whole time, but also not so punishing that you find yourself in situations where you just cannot do anything, right? And I think that's kind of where we're at. This was a doable fight. I made a slight mistake, and I got punished for it. I know at this point I'm going to have to make a sack. I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking I cannot afford to lose Houndoom or Celio, so I guess I've just got to leave the Eevee and the Marowak in, but losing Eevee is not... you can't lose Eevee right now. You can't lose Eevee right before this thing is about to evolve. You can't lose Eevee on a team that's already taken 2 losses when I really didn't have a particularly strong team in the first place. And this Marowak is just taunting me because he's still holding that useless Oran Berry. Imagine if this was a Chesto Berry, he could thief the citrus off the Soul Rock. We could actually do something. At this point, I'm still not even sure if like I could still wipe here, right? But he miraculously is going to miss the Rock Slide on my Celio, so at the very least I end up being able to get a Water Pulse back into this thing, and from this point yeah, I wake up, I get the Thief. I'm pretty sure it still procs its berry first, yeah, before Thief can trigger, but at the end of the day now it's going to be okay, right? I'm not going to wipe. But my run is in dire straits. Soon my screen too will be black, just like those other friends whose screens have gone black after they've wiped over there on the right. I've not really acknowledged that, but obviously, as you can see, as people die, I mean, that's how it looks in Discord, right? They stop sharing their screen, it goes away, the stakes rise as you feel like, you know, you're one of the last ones left. It's an exciting feeling as the tension rises there. And Tate and Liza are no more. Nice. We're back into fast forward here. So at this point, I'm taking stock of the damage, and I immediately go to the move relearner because I know I'm going to need all the power I can get. I've got a few Pokemon with really nice move relearner options. I know Helioptile has a nice move relearner option. This is a massive power spike, right? After the 4th gym is the point where you have access to TMs, where you have access to Evolution Stones. You can use your Evolution Stone to evolve your Eevee when it hasn't died. For me, that looks like Helioptile, picking up a couple of key moves there. I even have to go pick up a Hard Scale just to make sure I have enough move relearns for everything I want. And then I just spend all my money. I know that each one of these gyms could be my last at this point, and so I spend everything. This is definitely a point where the Salandit is rough. Salandit with that really late spike. Usually it doesn't matter that much. 5th gym isn't so hard with the Eevee spike, but I have no Eevee spike. And right before this gym, you saw me checking my trainer card, trying to see which gym I could get. I'm afraid of Roxanne, and of course, who do I walk into? But enough about me and my stink run, because we are with Emphraz now to watch his Brawly, and he will show us how it's done. Right? He's got no Flame Body in mind here. While I go off in the corner there to wipe to Roxanne. We see the power of Eevee if it doesn't die, right? If it doesn't die to the 4th gym, because Sylveon with Draining Kiss into Brawly, this is brutal. This is really brutal. Sylveon is so strong in general. It's one of only 2 Eevees, it and Espeon, that get Combined. Draining Kiss, healing it back to full, is huge. It even has like some crazy options. It's got Pixelate with the ability patch. It's got the ability to set screens. It's obviously, of course, got Charm. This thing it's one of the premier evolutions. It's often the 1st or 2nd to go. I'd say it's some order of Sylveon, Umbreon, Vaporeon as the most powerful options here, and it's interesting because how people prioritize those changes all the time. Emphraz, though, pretty much always takes Sylveon when he gets here first, as far as I'm aware, and he's happy he did it here because Sylveon is definitely the best into Brawly. And this Hariyama, much more manageable when you've got a few more evolutions under your belt, when you've got a fairy type in front of it that doesn't have Flame Body. That said, there's some other very clean parts of this fight. This one I have seen already, so I know about the smooth moves that Emphraz is going to pull off here in a second, and we can all clap for him together as he does so. At this point in the run, Matt is one of just a few left. This really isn't typical. The early game is tricky, but it's not this tricky. This isn't really representative of how hard the game is. This was a pretty bad run for a lot of people. I would say that getting through the gyms is really pretty manageable. The Elite Four is really where the power lies. The Elite Four is the big hurdle that you need to clear. There's a lot of very tricky fights there, but most teams can get through the gym phase here, and you can kind of see why right now. I mean, Eevee really papers over a team's weaknesses with access to Charm, with access to Light Screen. it is able to become whatever type your team needs, and then kind of weaken enemy boss Pokemon to the point where the rest of your team usually can get the job done. Here we got the Washi. He's schooling on him. First time we've seen the Washi so far. One of the most iconic Pokemon of Blitz. It's like they made it for us, because it would be so overpowered if it could just school all the time, but they've got that nice... It has to wait until level 20 for its ability to kick in. One of the only non-evolving Pokemon that Game Freak decided to actually balance around playing like the actual gym phase of the game with, where you can't just get this thing from the very start. There's so many non-evolving Pokemon that are not in the pool because they would just be so dominant through the first 2 gyms. Really isn't that exciting to take a Halucha and just one-shot everything through the first few gyms, and that's why so few of them are there. But wait, pause. Did I just see a high jump kick? If we've got a ghost type on the team, this is where we are breaking Brawly's ankles, and Matt pulls the trigger. Rotom in. He actually... This is Gym 6, so Matt could have changed his Rotom form, but doing so would have lost the ghost type and have removed his ability to do just that pivot. That's the big brain play out of Emfraz. That's why he's doing so well. He knows that the ghost type Rotom is going to come in handy for him. And then he's right back out to Sylveon, because you charm this thing, you drain and kiss this thing, and I think that is curtains. What a clean Brawly. What a clean Brawly. We should clap it up for that. We even goes for Baby Doll Eyes here. He doesn't want to take any risks. Although really the only way he's losing here anyway is if he gets crit, which will ignore those stat drops. But regardless, he's never punished. He goes for the smooch. And I think that's all she wrote. If you were sitting at home and you feel like you could do better than this, you feel like not changing your Rotom form for this fight just to dodge Meditite, high jump kick, you think that's child's play, then please come race us. Come race us. I mean, you can see here, based on the the number of black screens we've got off to the right at this point, that, you know, we have big hearts. Right? We have big hearts. We also have big mouths, but we don't necessarily have big skill yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're leveling up, and I'm sure that over the coming weeks we're going to see, you know, run and bun players, competitive nuzlockers come into this game and show us that we understand very little. We understand very little in the nature of Pokemon, but that's okay. And we'll, I'm looking forward to like adjusting the balance of the game to account for that. And here we go. 1 million times speed, because now with that, really look, I'm out of the race. I'm out of the race, and so, you know, it's time to speed things up. So here we'll follow Matt into the 7th gym. He decides to be stylish and fly to Sutopolis first. Once you beat the 6th gym in Emerald Blitz, you have the ability to fly anywhere on the map that you haven't visited yet, besides to Evergrande City. And he walks into Tate and Liza, and I think Matt would tell you that he's not the strongest doubles player. He's had a lot of wipes to these late doubles gyms, and we saw him there think about swapping to the washing machine, the Rotom washing machine, and decide against it, because he wants the ghost type again for the psychic gym. And that did not pay off for him, I gotta say that. Probably was a mistake in the grand scheme of things. The really rough thing here is he's using Dive on Wishy-Washy. He has access to water moves that are not 2 turns. I see the vision here. The idea is he's setting up an Aqua Ring and he's trying to stay healthy on the Washi. And you can't blame him for that, but the problem is his other side is just getting obliterated while he's diving underwater, so... Yeah, I think there definitely were strategies through that Tate and Liza to do that Deathless. I think he had a fine Tate and Liza team, but unfortunately didn't pull them off, and now he's got 4 Pokemon into a Winona 8. This is really when the runs get tense, when you're under 6 Pokemon, when you're just trying to squeak out victory, right? You're trying to just get one more fight so that you end up securing the win, and the Washi's going back to work, you already know. He's schooling on him, but that's okay, his job is done. His job is done. Wishy-Washy's kind of nice, because he doesn't school until the end of the turn, so even though he's so slow, when you get hit low like that, it's okay, he still fires back, he gets his kill. And ahead of the Elite Four here, he goes and buys a bunch of TMs. At this point in the game, you get access to the Mega Stones for final stage evolutions, 3-stage lines, but he doesn't have any of those, and so he will need to make it through Spencer with not only 4 Pokemon, but no Megas here. So Spencer, obviously not usual here to Vanilla Emerald. All of the Elite Four members are 50-50 flips. You can either get a Battle Frontier a leader or you can get a Elite Four member. Spencer here, really he was probably fine either way. I think Sydney would have been easier because Sylveon does have a pretty easy time into Sydney. But that said, he gets through, and you really can't complain getting through any Elite Four members when you've only got 4 Pokemon. And into this fight here, this one's going to be close, but he's got the Pokemon to do it. He's got tanky Pokemon that hit hard. And Skeletor just showing here why it's at the top of A tier in the first place. So we'll slow it down here for the Glacia fight, the 3 Pokemon Glacia. I remember that going into this, Matt and all 8 of us who are now sitting and watching just his run, we're thinking that it's over. You can't swap here, right? You know that Wishiwashi's dead to Freeze Dry, but so is Lantern, right? And you need the Lantern to actually kill the thing. So you have to sack the Wishiwashi to bring in Lantern. And again here, you're now at a spot where suddenly things are looking pretty good, but it's hailing, this Frostlass, it's easy to miss, and look at this. Actually, we end up in a situation where we have a chance, but Overheat misses. Torch Song might have secured the kill there. Really, probably it would have. But that 85% accurate Overheat is just so rough. And that ends the run. If you watched the video all the way to this point, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to see you all in actual runs. I can't wait to keep recording runs like this. Make some content for you all. Subscribe to the channel to keep watching more videos. And until next time, people, peace.